liberty, and justice for all.
Meeting is now called to order. Minutes, Resolution 24-170, to accept the minutes of August 7th, 2024.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
I hate to be persnickety, but can someone other than Mr. Seekins make the motion? He wasn't at the last meeting.
That's right, now you can't even vote.
You should even vote, okay, yes.
So I had
Yeah.
Commissioner Johnson and Commissioner Alsop.
Point of order.
So.
All right, very good. Good catch, thank you, sir. All in favor? You probably should have stayed.
Yeah. We want to hold it.
Thank you. Okay. Moving along, we will open bids for the Somerset County Courthouse LED replacement project. I have a folder.
So while the chairman is looking at that, I'll just remind the rest of the board, this was a grant that Patrick and I applied for through the U.S. Department of Energy to replace 226 lighting fixtures in this building. Take out the fluorescents and put in LEDs. So we put out an RFP, and that's what, I think there's 4 bids on this project.
I'm going to take some credit because I did bring it to...
You did. That's
to Christopher and to Patrick, and Patrick was very generous and picked up the ball and carried it forward. Thank you.
Generous? You didn't have a choice.
Yes, you did. So not come in the room.
Okay, what do we got?
We have got a bid from Madden Generators for a total bid of $40,356.18. What I'm going to ask us to do is we'll look at these bids and then we'll present them to Tim and Patrick to go over, and then they can give us a review at the next meeting.
Comparison.
Yeah. And this is from Chancellor O'Burris for a total bid price of $162,009.
Was the first one 140 or 40?
The other one said 40,000.
It's a wiggle room.
Nothing
Well.
like that.
Definitely bears checking.
Tim, how many total fixtures?
226.
This is from Quality Electric, Skowhegan, Maine. And Donald Perkins, the second, Quality Electric. Total bid is $80,225. And our last bid, our final bid is
Tim, is this basically all just overhead, stuff like that?
Yeah,
It's not like table lamps or nothing?
no, it's all overhead, although, the vast majority of them are these types of panels. Registry of Deeds has some pretty significantly different lights.
But
So,
there's still an overhead,
right.
yeah. And same with the courtroom,
Yep,
everything upstairs.
yep.
And this bid is from IKEO LED lighting for $64,221, and they're out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Those are our 4 bids.
So 40,000, 64,000, 80,000, and 162,000. So yeah, we'll collect those afterwards and we'll review them and bring you.
Yeah, there might be a difference in quality of lighting and or a misreading.
Okay.
That's this package here. I also want to open up a note that we have from,
Is that another bid?
this isn't a bid, this is a thank you very much from Arlene, Somerset County Commissioners, just a note to thank you for all my beautiful art glass award. It's beautiful. Also for recognizing my 30 years with the county. I especially want to thank Robert and Sid for stopping by as well. Thanks again, Arlene. So, and we appreciate that, Arlene. Thank you very much for the card. So we look forward to your report on at the next meeting, the light fixture, the bids. Thank you. For our next workshop, we have to discuss the Axion body cameras for the sheriff's office.
So, with me today, I brought Kevin Watson, who's the account leader for Axon Sales. Axon Sales is, we use Axon right now for our tasers, and we entered into a contractual type agreement where we lease those tasers now, and it seems to be working well. Short history, we have used watch guards in our cruisers. WatchGuard was purchased by Motorola. That product, and I don't know if it's been because of the transition, I can't say exactly why, but we were experiencing problems with our WatchGuard, now Motorola cameras. And we've never had body cameras. I haven't always been a big proponent of the body cameras, but through the evolution of law enforcement, and I attended a presentation by Mr. Watson that it sort of convinced me to look at it differently, and move to not only buying the WatchGuard cameras outright, but enter into a lease agreement with Axon to do our car cameras, our incorporate body cameras, and also expand that to the jail also. Right now, when we do have to do a jail extraction, one of the officers has to use a hand camera to record the whole event. I believe this is cloud-based, and you'll have to excuse me because I'm sometimes technologically handicapped. But the body cameras, the corrections supervisor could wear the body camera and capture the extraction through body camera to the cloud. What really sold me on the whole body camera concept was that it's also going to incorporate AI, and Mr. Watson can speak to this better than I, but a deputy will be able to, or a corrections officer on a jail extraction, or I do now, when we transport someone, we record the whole time that person's in the van, but AI captures the event, and they can give you a draft report, a much more comprehensive report that I'm getting now of the event, and the officer has to proofread it and be able to sign off on it. So I want to move in this direction. I think it's an evolution of policing, and if we're able to use AI to our advantage, it will serve as deputies will be doing less time in front of their computer, and we'll have more proactive policing because they won't be inside or at a keyboard. So with that, I'll turn that over to Mr. Watson to give you a short presentation.
Yeah, I just want to thank the county for letting me present here today, and I'll certainly try to be respectful of everybody's time and move through it quickly. I do want to start with just a little bit of a snapshot of who Axon is, or what Axon is as a company. Originally founded in 1993 by Rick Smith. He's still the CEO, so we're a CEO founder-led company. And we were originally called Taser International. That was our first product, was the Taser that police departments and the sheriff here has been using for many years. We rebranded to Axon in 2017 due to the popularity of body cameras and the name Taser really no longer making sense as a descriptor of what we do. We're headquartered in Arizona, and we do United States manufacturing with facilities around the country. I sometimes get this question, why did Taser International start even making body cameras? And it started back in 2007 with the Taser Cam. You see here it was a combination of a battery and a camera that when you armed the Taser would start recording. And we were getting reports from customers that this was preventing lawsuits, it was aiding in investigations, and it was reducing liability to cities and counties. And so we took that feedback, and in 2012 we built our first body camera. And ever since then, we've been, it's become nearly ubiquitous in law enforcement. Proven reduction in complaints, proven reduction in use of force incidents, and lawsuit expenditures. So I do think it's just important to note that Axon, we didn't jump into the market of body cameras when it started getting popular. We, in a way, kind of pioneered this, and we're it's tried and true, proven company that has been a partner to law enforcement for a very long time. And then these are kind of a list of our body camera partners in the state of Maine. Cumberland County Sheriffs has been using us for a few years, Aroostook and Oxford as well. And then we're deployed with large cities such as Portland all the way down to small departments around the state. So we're very scalable, but we're also partnered around. We understand the state of Maine very well. And really our goal, we're providing an ecosystem, right? We're connecting these technology solutions and making it easily adaptable to police departments and sheriff's offices. And really this is the challenges we're hearing from agencies across the country. Issues with recruitment, complex internal processes, mountains of digital evidence that's increasing like a tsunami, and limited resources. And so we aim to be a partner for agencies around the country. I do want to show a quick video. The sheriff mentioned some of the AI capabilities. And one of them is the ability to leverage body cameras beyond just recording.
My experience using Draft One really blew me away. The normal report, your thefts, your shopliftings, your damaged property reports, those, it really does a good job of breezing through.
You come on this job wanting to make an impact, you don't come on this job wanting to type reports. So this AI feature, I'm super excited about it.
When we introduce new technology, there's obviously a skepticism on, this is something I have to learn, this is change, I don't necessarily like the way I'm doing it now. But once they use the technology, they see how beneficial it is to their day-to-day operations, and then there's buy-in.
I logged in, I hit the narrative, and I wanted to see just how it was going to do in summarizing that report. I mean, all these little minute details was all in there. It was very thorough and very eloquently done. There were a few things that we had to edit, but I would say it probably wrote 90% of that first report. That's probably a 25 to 30 minute long report. You hit the narrative button and it cranks something out in a few seconds. It does force you to go through the report to make sure that you agree with everything that's written.
We make sure we're checking our work when we do the AI report writing, but ultimately it is a clean process, and some of the reports that we've seen are maybe better than our officer did right.
What I'm most looking forward to is the increased efficiency that this technology provides from line level all the way up to commander level.
There's a plethora of things that you can do with that extra hour or 2 hours in a 12-hour period.
Ultimately, we are here to serve the community, and this helps us with that job.
So I'd just like to show that to exemplify that body cameras are moving beyond just a recording tool, and we're leveraging the data that they create to make the job of a deputy in the street more efficient. It's a force multiplier, and it's putting deputies back into the job that they want to be doing, which is being out in the community and helping to serve the citizens of Somerset County. So, and this is the feedback from the deputies out in the field. We've been testing this for a little over a month now, and the feedback has been universally just acclaimed in the sense of the quality, the usability of the system, and just how much time savings that deputies are seeing per report. A lot of people aren't aware that we tend to hear about 3 hours of a shift is spent just typing up narrative reports. And any technology that we can use to make that more efficient, that's an immediate benefit back to the community. And then another component to this is going back to that ecosystem is you are also investing in a platform that can house digital evidence beyond just body cameras, right? Which that's a major cost to many counties, maintaining servers and having to have different siloed places for that information. So I'll stop there. I don't want to drone on too long.
I have a question.
Yes, absolutely.
Are these manually turned on by the officer?
They can't. Yeah, there's two ways to do it. There's a manual activation, and then there's different automatic activations. One being the taser. It can be configured remote for the overall agency, where if you arm the taser, it'll immediately put that camera into a recording state from there.
So we presently have a policy with our car cameras that there are certain events that automatically trigger the activation of the recording.
A manual activation would be as simple as a 2-button press on the front of the camera. It'll notify the officer that it's now recording.
Part of what we're doing right now is that when we first started collecting data, a deputy would go to a scene and the court would want, and the defense attorney would want that camera information. It's now evolved, so if you go even back up another deputy, you have to provide camera and a report. If you do nothing at all but just back that other officer up, you have to generate a report. So I would say that 3 hours a day doing reports, it's more than that, if you did it correctly. This week alone, the patrol handled over 500 calls for service. So every time they get called, it generates a report. We had a case, just last week, the patrol sergeant showed me, he backed up his deputy at a scene. He was able to do, because you can do it in the car, was able to give a backup report while still at the scene. And again, it's called draft one because it isn't the report. They do have to proofread the report, but the AI generates that report.
Sheriff, are we talking about replacing, I followed at the beginning, we now have a watch guard?
Yeah, so we have watch guard cameras, right?
That's a cruiser camera.
That right now, all we have is the cruiser camera.
And so if we're thinking about just having Axon do the cruiser camera and the body camera and the taser as an integrated system.
Yes.
And if all that's data, there's just tons of it that's created every day, it's just stored in the cloud or someplace like that.
That's correct.
I know nothing about it either, but, so it all gets, when somebody is actually charged, and I assume it goes to court, all of a sudden it gets downloaded into some sort of discovery package.
Yeah, so we use what we call now a share file, so the DA's office can get, a report is vetted through a supervisor, and then that report's put on a server, and the DA's office can go get it from share file.
And do they do,
For discovery.
are we past the point of DVDs and all that stuff?
Yeah.
We just on your computer, download the police report.
So right now.
That's why I'm tired.
That's not a dumb question, because I still run into counties that are doing things on DVDs.
Yeah, so when the first generations, there was a key, you had to unlock, you had a USB, you had to download it.
Yeah.
We now have sensors on top of the sheriff's office building that when they pull in, it automatically downloads the deputy's reports and then it's set to a server, if that's correct. And then it's processed. But This will be, again, cloud-based.
Correct.
And as the deputy gets the report approved, you won't have to come to the sheriff's office to have it downloaded. It will do it from the car.
And what's the state police doing? 'Cause
I have no idea. They're stopping a lot of cars on the interstate.
Great Blue Father.
What's that?
I don't know what they're doing, if they have. I didn't see they're on your list of.
I don't, they're not like an account
The
that I.
state police are an animal unto themselves. I mean,
Yeah, I know what you
They
mean.
have their own records management system and their own way of doing things.
Yeah.
I believe, and I don't want to say anything disparaging about the state police, but again, I'm not looking to follow
Yeah.
the state police.
I'm not
looking to
suggesting
see
you should.
what's best for the county and how can we be most effective and efficient with our deputies.
So how does the body camera also record sound as well?
It does, yep. So when it's in a buffering state, it's just recording a 30-second no audio loop to kind of pick up anything that might have happened before you're able to start recording. And then as soon as you double tap and you start recording, now it's recording audio and video together.
And how does it capture and render for the report?
Yeah, so it records standard MP4 file, but it's encrypted on the camera, and as soon as you dock it, it'll flow into, we call it evidence.com is the cloud platform. And then, that will upload either via a dock or a Wi-Fi connection or a cell phone connection. You can leverage all three.
And the AI just can analyze.
You have show them that reporter, that guy, in 1974, we didn't have this problem.
No, I can believe it. So, but the AI can just look at that digital information and generate a report from that, so it's smart enough to realize that
Correct.
the defendant was wearing a blue shirt.
Yeah, it is more comprehensive. I read one of the reports, and that was the thing that caught my attention. I was like, how does IA do that?
Yeah, it's amazing.
But when I saw the event and saw what AI captured, it was way more comprehensive than what an officer would normally put in their report.
What it's currently doing, you'll see here, there's a transcription of the video. So this is just me, my camera recording a couple days ago. You'll notice there's a transcription over here, which does help expedite a review. And so what the AI is doing is it's looking at that transcript and it knows how to derive a template, essentially, of a police narrative report. And then the officer goes in and reviews it, adds whatever details are required, and then you're able to copy and paste that to your RMS from that point on. I could, look, if you want to see it live, I could do it. I want to be, I don't know if we.
Oh, we love this stuff. Keep going.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Let me add my video here.
You know, the AI is very efficient, but sometimes inaccurate, but not necessarily any more than the human, so.
Yeah, well, and that's why they call it draft one.
Yeah.
That isn't the report. The officer, the deputy would still be obligated to read that report to make sure that it's captured everything accurately. But as the officer said earlier in the presentation, we deal with a lot of cases of harassment, thefts, and that still AI captures and really reduces that report writing time.
Oh, yeah, no.
And I'm sure you're going to get a lot of blowback from the defense bar saying this is somehow no good.
We've already presented to the assistant county prosecutor, I believe,
Yeah.
and discussed it with them. And I think that they're doing this in Cumberland County. They've been submitting, both Portland and Cumberland County have been testing this since about May. So they've been submitting reports, and the other big one it's New Hampshire, but Manchester PD has been one of our original beta test partners, and they've been sending reports, both municipal, county, and state level reports, and they've been getting accepted and cleared at that level. So you're not just the first agency testing this, essentially.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Quick question, because as we know, with advancement in technology and something like this is new, and you've got the AI piece to it, what security measures are in place to safeguard others in situations of people getting a hold of this information?
Great question. So evidence.com is I would describe, it's the gold standard of security compliance. We're deployed with federal agencies. The DEA is one of our largest customers, the FBI, Customs and Borders. So we meet those federal protocols for all security compliance. We exceed them. And the same goes for the standard for city and county. It's a certification called CJIS, and we're considered CJIS Plus. So we exceed baseline CJIS compliance measures above and beyond, and so we, without getting super into the weeds, like you can ensure that there are all sorts of stopgaps to prevent a data breach or anything like that. It's our number one focus as a company.
And then on the other side of this, how are the courts receiving these reports as evidence?
Yeah, so currently the way it would be, like, I just threw on, this is a demonstration I did, so it's not going to provide, it's not actually talking about a police action. But if I went through and made the additional edits, all I'm doing is copy and pasting this into your existing RMS system. So I believe you use
IMC.
IMC.
So we're going to be moving to Central Square here.
Got it, yeah.
I think in the first quarter of next year.
So the beauty of it is you don't have to pay for a expensive integration or anything like that. It's just, it's sitting here. The user interface can, it's easy for a deputy to use, copy and paste it and put it directly into Central Square or IMC. So, yep.
Sorry if I missed it. And
no, you're good.
Sorry for being late. I got caught behind a combine on the way. So on the video, it talked about time saving, and I think they mentioned something like the things that you can do with an extra hour or two.
Yep.
Do you have or maybe the sheriff has a general idea because of the, the labor shortage and everything else, on a daily basis or a weekly basis, what sort of time savings can we possibly expect that might actually either reduce overtime or?
Yeah, I think you see if you're
Bring this.
great question. It's more, so if you can save, and actually I got a report, I didn't bring it with me, of the deputies that did, I think we used 4 deputies on this, 4 or 5 deputies.
Some of them.
And they, across the board said they saved 15 to 20 minutes per report. And so if they handle 15 to 20 cases a shift, do the math. Where we're now becoming outside of the municipalities, we're responsible for the county, and we're working to get our manpower to staffing to an acceptable level. This will give us more discretionary time to do those traffic enforcements. Our fatals are up this year, and in part, it's not the only reason, but I think our inability to dedicate time to, active patrol.
So you see, there could be some sort of cost offset though?
Oh, yeah.
But your officers they're gonna have to, and I guess the officer goes into court if that's where this ends up, and most of the time it doesn't, but if it does, he or she's gonna have to defend the accuracy of the report.
Yeah, so.
Subject to all the usual.
No, that's exactly right. And to your point, you're exactly right. Not all these over 500 calls for service end up in court.
Right.
And so if the case does end up in court, it will be just like any other case that they bill to go for prosecution. They're going to have to be able to testify to the facts of what was in that document that was presented to the court.
I think to Commissioner Stetkus' question, you talk about cost savings. This is a recruitment and retention tool because we lose patrol deputies to other counties where they're doing 3 to 5 cases a day, and we're doing 25 cases a day because our population is larger and our coverage area is much higher. So I see it as
spend more time doing their job.
Yes, and to the county administrator's point, we have had 3 deputies in the exit interview or said, yeah, we love the department, we love all, blah, blah, blah. The volume of work is just overwhelming. And we're being asked to do more and more. We had a yellow flag case yesterday. It tied up a deputy for 12 hours, and because of the system and all the things that we have to do, and part of his day to day. And that's just one case. So I'm looking for ways to make our workforce more effective and with a more comprehensive report, a better product moving forward.
When does all this, ideally, when would all this happen?
Well, so that's another discussion that I'd like to have with the commissioners at a different time. This was a presentation about the costs and how we move forward to pay for that. But I would like to move it to, and that's where it's a little problematic. It's outside of the budget year. But I want to do what we did with I'm seeing a very successful product with our tasers, and I wanted to emulate that with our cameras. Right now, a WatchGuard camera costs us around $6,700 to buy, another $400 or $500 to install it, and we've been buying those products outright. Everything has a shelf life after, and they do give us guarantees, but at the end of it, our warranty that we purchase is almost as much as a new camera. But even when that expires, we own that camera. It's 5-year-old technology, and as you know, the technology is moving faster than we can keep up with it. So my thought process has evolved from that. I think to be better stewards of the money that we're giving, it's better to lease the product. So not only does it take care of the maintenance, but it also, we're not stuck with this product. We'll always be getting the best product and the best service.
One point of clarification, though, on the contract is the county will take title of all the equipment we send. We're not leasing it and expecting it back. It's a service plan that we pay for over 5 years. But yes, the equipment is owned by the county, and it doesn't need to be sent back.
Well,
Yeah. And then,
just like the tasers, at the end of the 5 years, I'm gonna give you back those tasers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna renew the contract, and I'm gonna get new tasers again.
Exactly, yep. And then, we're also structuring the agreement to be a lower year one payment to kind of help figure that in as well, so.
And that's a budgetary thing that
Correct, yeah.
we'll have, that's another conversation coming to you in the very near future, but I wanted to my intent was to make you aware of where I want to take the agency and what this product actually is. And it does, for the first time, we embrace body cameras.
So does this, is it gonna be, you're gonna clean out all the current equipment and completely replace it all at once with what we're talking about here, or is it gonna be an attrition type thing?
No, if we make the move, we're gonna make, because you don't want, it becomes difficult if you're dealing with 3 or 4 different products.
I'm not recommending.
No, but to your point, yeah, the point is I wanna move to Axon for not only my taser, my car cameras, and my new body cameras.
I got one last technical question. These cameras are mounted in the middle of your chest. And what's the field of focus and depth? How much can you see in these things?
Yes, we design them to, it's not a perfect science, but to do our best to mimic the human range of view. And so these cameras are at about 148 degrees, I would say, call it like that. It's not a fisheye lens, it's just meant to see a larger.
Do you remember the track we just did?
Yeah, I could.
Well, this is a track we just did in Heartland where we successfully captured someone and the deputy was wearing a body camera. That's your new dog, Reeves.
Hopefully I can get this to play. Come on.
That's what you see is from the body camera.
Pretty good.
Sorry. I don't know why it's goofing on, but yeah, that's kind of a good representation of the bid.
Do we eventually catch the bad guy?
We do, actually. It's kind of a good bid. We could watch it if you want.
Don't leave me hanging. Let's see how the show ends.
Oh, see your hands. Stand up. You're going to get bit by the dog. Stand up. Watch him. Watch him. Watch him. Watch him. Don't move. Don't move.
Clip of the cuffs.
And this is all the burglary in Cornville.
Yeah, for the context, yeah, he was robbing the place and had ran, so.
So, I mean, that's what you can see with the bond.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and thanks for that, that's helpful.
So how quickly would you want to move on this?
Sooner than later. They've been gracious enough to.
We should talk price. It doesn't come cheap.
No,
I'm asking that question.
Yeah, so again, that's another conversation we need to have. I don't know.
Just asking that question to follow up on what I was gonna say is that.
Do whatever you want.
That was beautiful.
When you come back to us,
Commissioner,
you're gonna have a full
you're a commissioner, you can do whatever.
cost.
Yeah, absolutely. My intent of this meeting.
Not that I want to throw money at it right yet, I'm just trying to know how much it is.
The intent of my the intent of this meeting right here was to make you aware, and of its capabilities, where I want to take the agency, and probably by the next meeting, we'll come down and have you a cost breakdown.
Yeah.
So if I can just tag on to Joel's question about, if you're gonna buy the whole thing all at once, or segue into it,
So, what we're doing right now,
getting the body cameras and the tasers, and then,
we already have the tasers.
yeah, but as you are, the contract runs out on the watch guard, then.
There is no contract on the watch guard.
Okay.
We buy those separately.
Yep.
The next time that we meet, hopefully you'll allow me to come and get them, because this is out of, I made it quite clear to Axon, Mr. Watson, this is outside our budget process.
Right.
So that, he tailored what the cost would be, because again, and I guess lease isn't the right word, but
Service agreement, I believe is what he said.
yeah, he tailored the agreement, so our first year out of budget, I think, through some other things that I've been working on that I'll bring to your attention, we can save out of the FY '25 budget to be able to buy, to start the process this year.
Well, we can discuss all of that at our next meeting.
Yeah.
Assume that we want an executive session for that.
Yeah.
Oh, and I knew they had questions. Yeah.
Any questions, more questions? Thank you, gentlemen,
Thank you
for
very
your
much.
attention.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
No further workshops. And no public hearings. Public comment, to allow members of the public to comment or reserve time to speak on an upcoming agenda item. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak?
We do, Your Honor.
He prefers your majesty.
I'm so used to going to court.
All right, thank you. Can you introduce yourselves, please?
I'm Sharon Thomas, and I'm Crystal Flagg, and this is Sandy Daigle, and we're from the Kingsbury Pond Association.
Thank you.
And we had sent some letters to the commissioners. I'm not sure if you want me to read the letter out loud where you already have those. It's totally up to you, but we appreciate all of you for allowing us to come and explain the grass that we have.
So
I have read it, so you don't have to read it on my.
Yeah, I've read it as well.
I'll just point out that Dave Spencer, who works as our UT coordinator, he provided the commissioners with this information as well, which is a breakdown of every year and the money that was spent.
Okay.
So you didn't have that, so I thought I'd make sure, because if they make reference to it, you probably ought to know what they're talking about.
Right.
I think there's a copy right there. So if I could summarize, a few months ago, the commissioners made a decision to reduce the amount of money that's been paid for at least the last 6 or 7 years. To add to the confusion, this all started as part of the wind power TIF, and when that TIF was originally put together and approved by the state, there was a holdover regarding the 42 acres that kind of surround the roads referred to in the TIF, not specifically as these roads, but I'm assuming that's what we were talking about. So I can only imagine if you go back several years ago when this TIF was being discussed, that some of the commissioners wanted that portion, something to go toward that portion, which is why it was added or amended into the TIF after the fact. That took several years to finalize. And so when the state did finalize it, they used the language that said that this parcel, I mentioned 42, my mistake, 19.42 acres of Camp Association private roads are approved as part of the Bingham Wind Power Omnibus District footprint. But if you read all the way down to the bottom, it says, the last sentence, TIF revenues may not be expended on private residential activities, project costs, or related to such activities or project costs. So I think that we were operating with a little bit of confusion where, oh, it was approved as part of the district, so it's okay to use TIF money to maintain or plow private roads. For the first several years before this clarification was done, it was paid for out of a separate pot of money, the Community Benefits Fund, which doesn't have this restriction on it. So without getting into the weeds with you folks on what's a TIF and what's not a TIF and what's community benefit and not community benefit, the question before the commissioners really becomes, do they want to continue paying out of the Community Benefit Fund for this type of work to be done on these private roads? Is that right or wrong or indifferent? There's no rule that says you can't do it. But that fund is limited and it runs out in 9 years. So it wouldn't be able to be a ongoing forever thing. So I just kind of lay the groundwork into what the commissioners have been talking about and what I've been talking about with Sharon to kind of put this all together.
I don't know if it's appropriate to have sort of a conversation about this, but I know somebody saw me, John Alsop, on
I did.
Yeah.
I was very outraged.
Outraged by the, that's, you're not the first.
It's unprofessional. You insulted our camp owners.
Well, I don't mean to insult anyone, but I think, I would disagree with what Tim just said, which is that, that this is a permitted use of community benefit funds, because it seems to me that if we look at the definition of what community funds can be used for under Title 35A, Section 3451, it's public purposes, property tax reduction, economic development, land and natural resource protection, tourism, and reduction of energy costs. And I don't see maintaining private roads as part of that list, either specifically or in general. Secondly, the Maine Law Court has said with crystal clarity that the Maine Constitution forbids public funds to be used for private purposes, and they specifically ruled that tax money cannot ever be used for private roads. And then that same concept is embodied in the TIF contract or approval we have, which is that TIF money cannot be used for private roads. All of these things point in the same direction in my mind, which is that the general concept that public monies from whatever source derived, be it from community benefit funds, from taxation, from some other source that are in the public treasury, cannot be spent on private roads, period. So even though you may have, and I acknowledge, perfectly good reasons for asking for some sort of reparation or compensation for having to live with these wind towers, which frankly, we all do, there is, in my view, there is not a remedy. The remedy that you seek is just not available to you. It's just not. And there are dozens of private road associations on all the myriad thousands of lakes in Maine, and they fix their own roads. It's just kind of the way it goes. And it's kind of the way it breaks, for me anyway, that's the way I see it. I don't see how we could possibly justify spending public money from the public funds for a private road.
So my thought in that, I am aware of that as well. However, the places that are really impacted by these windmills is us. It's our lake. It's the windmill noises. It's the roads that were ruined when they came. The hunting seasons, the animals, it has changed everything at camp, everything. And we're not luxury camps by any means. I've lived in Maine my whole life. I'm a 5th generation of being a Maine girl, and I think, we have a friend that had a camp on a pond, and they got a tax incentive off their tax bill for having, to endure the windmills. We don't even get that. We get nothing. If we don't get this, we don't get anything for that big change.
That actually leads to my question. I'm not sure who would answer, whether it would be Tim or maybe Dave or somebody. So Commissioner Alsop referenced community benefit and the reduction of property taxes. Do we have some sort of example out there where TIF or community benefit money has been used to reduce property taxes?
Yes. Well, it's not directly. Property taxes are derived by our UT budget and every other UT budget in the state. They're all combined for the state budget. We have reduced our budget for Somerset County UTs by using TIF funds in the past, and currently, occasionally, we still do. But it is often where we will have certain projects that we want done that weren't budgeted for, that we will go into TIF funds for. The most recent example is the storms that we had in December and in the previous May. We had a lot of road washed out. Our budget isn't set to have $100,000 in gravel wash away, and then we just put it back under our normal budget. So we actually went into TIF funds to pay for those emergency repairs, and we're in the process of trying to get some of that money back from FEMA. That's a very long process, unfortunately. So it does have a way of reducing the Somerset County UT budget, but the amount we can reduce it is pretty small compared to the rest of the state, plus then all the state services that are provided for the UTs. So it's small.
I guess there is no example of direct property tax relief for specific areas.
No, we're not allowed to use TIF funds to reduce personal property taxes.
So I saw that in the letter reference to Mars Hill, and I know the town manager at Mars Hill, but he's out on medical leave at the moment. So I called up there, and they gave me the number of their assessor, who may be more familiar with the TIF. So I got a call into them. I don't know of any direct reduction of a tax bill per se for a particular group of people that happen to live on a particular street. I've never seen that, and I don't think you can do that. I may be wrong. But to Dave's point, if you've got a $2 million municipal budget and you didn't have a TIF, then your property taxes would have to pay for all of that. But if you had $200,000 that you could spend on road work, so you're doing a public service with the TIF dollars, but you're reducing that budget by 10% because now you're only taxing people $1.8 million. I think that's where property tax reduction comes in with both community benefit and TIP.
So in that example, and actually what Dave was talking about, where we have offset some taxes, were these folks included in that reduction? Are they in that area?
Yeah, they are taxpayers for the UTs.
Right.
So our taxpayers.
So they basically receive the same, the
Yeah,
same
it
rate
wasn't
that everybody else
specific for
did, just
Mayfield,
not extra.
it was everybody in the UTs.
That's what I'm saying, I think it's hard to make it impactful only for one district or street.
Yeah.
Because if I'm wrong, when the state, Maine revenue, because Somerset County doesn't collect your taxes on those properties, the state does. And so when the state sets a mill rate for the unorganized territory, does it differ from county to county, or is it?
It does.
Okay, so.
It does. So it does have a benefit, but not restricted to Mayfield,
Right.
camp owners, property owners, but to all the UT property owners in Somerset County.
And don't the UT property owners that own camps on lakes compared to camp owners in municipalities pay, generally speaking, a lower tax?
Yeah, if you want to
What order of
compare,
magnitude would you
if
say?
you want to compare such as Kingsbury Pond versus Emden Pond,
Yeah,
I think you will have Emden Pond 300% higher, maybe on a guess.
3 times as high?
Yeah.
And does anyone, have you had experience with any recent sales of properties on Kingsbury Pond that shows a diminution in value of the camps?
Well, part of where we are in Mayfield, we have no power. We're off the grid.
Right.
So we can't compare to Emden.
Right.
Not everyone wants a camp on the lake with no water,
Right.
no sewer.
But just in terms, not comparing it with Emden, but
But-
have you noticed in the last 10 years that your camps are becoming progressively worthless, or because of the wind towers, or are they actually going up in
I
value?
haven't,
You can't really say, because like for my camp, I put solar in. Of course, it's gonna increase my value some, because I'm increasing it. It's not that around me's increasing, it's because I increased it myself.
But are sales brisk? I mean,
Yes.
it's not as if these properties are going unsold.
We have a
That's what they
worker
were
that's
near
been
the
looking
town.
at land in Kingsbury, and every lot that comes up for sale, she thinks is too high, and then within a week, it's gone. So if she changed her mind, she's too late. So if it opens up on Kingsbury Pond, which is a wonderful pond, it sells fast.
So just to clarify on the taxes, I don't think what Dave intended to say was the houses are of comparable value between Kingsbury and Emden. It's the mill rate.
Yeah.
The mill rate for the UT is 7.8.
Correct.
The mill rate for Emden is 16. So that's your big difference there.
Right.
So that if you both had $100,000 homes, you'd be paying half as what they're paying in Emden.
Correct.
So.
But we're also not getting power or anything. That makes a big difference.
Well, towns don't provide power.
Well, we don't have access to anything.
A number of years ago, there was an offer made from CMP to bring power in to Mayfield, and the camp owners at that time turned it down.
How many years ago?
I'm not sure, I'd have to look it up, within probably the last 15 years.
That was before me.
So, a very broad question, I mean, does there seem to be any legal way, and this is what it feels like to me we're rubbing up against, is actually doing something legally? Because it doesn't really seem like that's kind of what's been going on. To compensate, folks for the impact of the towers. I mean, that was, initially that was really a big part of, okay.
I just want to mention, and I think when the wind towers were first going in, the companies had to spread money around to many different groups. They had to meet a state requirement, public service, public funds. I don't know what the term was. I have a different term, my personal self. But the camp owners on Mayfield and Otter Pond and Mayfield Pond, there's 3 ponds all right next to each other. Nobody wanted to have anything to do with wind towers. So they weren't going to the wind tower company saying, hey, send us the money, we need it. If they had, they might have gotten some. But the same developers came to the county commissioners at that time, and the county commissioners thought about it and said, no, we're not in favor of wind towers in Mayfield. So we thought that would end the project. Well, it didn't, because they spread money around to ATV groups, snowmobile clubs, mountain bike clubs, and they met the state requirement of public funding, we'll call it. Well, the county had the opportunity at the last moment to TIF the project. So that's what we did. We had a TIF, 30-year TIF. We staggered out different percentages, 5 years, in the last 20 years. And part of the agreement that we had with them was a community benefit package. So they pay their taxes to the state sends that money to us, we send a check back to them, and then they send us a check for community benefit. So legal interpretation of the community benefit funds is beyond my level. I know the previous commissioners thought that it was legal to, fix their roads. It was a public safety tie-in. If you look at the list I gave you, you'll see a lot of money spent early on, especially for the Mayfield Otter Pond Club, upgrading all their roads. You can get ambulance down, because pretty much they were dirt track through the woods getting some of those camps.
Right.
So the roads were upgraded, and then after that, all we did for them was plow the roads. For Kingsbury Pond Association, they did some major work up front, a little bit more, and then they did smaller work every year, placing culverts, filling in low spots, things like that, gravel. And then plowing snow, because they have a lot longer distance plow than Mayfield Pond Association does. Their winter snow removal is a higher cost.
I would argue that that case, opinion of the justices, clearly addresses the issue of whether or not the argument that public safety would be a legitimate rationale for providing public funds for a private road. They rejected it. It's not good enough. And this issue this comes up all the time. People are mad because the snowplow won't plow out their driveway at the end of the road. People want the town to provide services, and it's just what the court has said. You cannot do it. And, I'm here to give you the bad news. I don't know how it's to sweeten the pill. It's not permitted by law.
We purchased our land in 2001, and there was nothing there. It was just woods, and you couldn't even see the lake hardly. And I think we were sold, I'm sitting here thinking, a bad set of goods, because we were told not to come here. We were told that the president would be taking care of that.
Yeah.
They didn't really, so I'm sitting here.
When you say come here, what do you mean by come?
Well, come to the commissioners
Oh, come
and
here.
when the wind towers were
Yes.
being presented and stuff, and it said, we were told that it would all be taken care of, don't worry about that. We're gonna have the most impact, we're gonna have the most windmills. I mean, we hear them. I mean, not only see them and see the blinking lights, we hear them.
I can actually prove that because I left my phone in my vehicle. I can bring the phone in, and I did it at night at the end of my driveway, and you can hear them swishing.
Do you hear the ones in Penobscot County, or Piscataquis? What is it, Penobscot over there? Piscataquis. Because there's some of the windmills are in Piscataquis County.
Yeah, they have a bunch of them.
Yes.
So which one are you listening to?
These
are ones in Mayfield.
The ones in Mayfield.
We hear the ones in Mayfield.
Well, there's some that are directly north of the pond.
These are right behind us.
These are right
Within a
behind.
mile.
And then there's some up on Cook Hill. You can't hear those.
You can. I've got a video of it I did at night, at the end of my driveway, and you can hear them.
So I
It's
just
all the
think
time.
I think that we were rest assured by the commissioners, whoever was here at the
I
time,
think it was
that we would
Lloyd.
be taken care of. Not to worry about it, but,
Yeah.
they didn't
We
want
was
all of the camp owners to come in here.
And we're the most impacted.
We are.
Well,
But
there's a lot of people that don't live in your area that don't like the windmills. There are people such as myself that when I go paddle on Lyman Lake, I don't like looking at the red flashing towers. there's a whole huge area of Somerset County that's adversely impacted by the windmills.
Absolutely.
And we don't get any public fix-up from that. There's nothing available.
I would like
Stop
to
it.
request, if there were enough commissioners here to support it, would be to get an actual legal opinion. That would make me comfortable.
I would concur with what I just actually going to talk about this because we have a situation where legally it doesn't seem that the TIF or the community benefit funds should be used for this. So I would do the same, seek the legal counsel, because as of right now, I would say, no, we can't do this because, I mean, it's perfectly stated, as John said, that, you know, it's not supposed to be used for private roads.
Well, it really isn't a private road. We have people come in there all the time that's not camp owners. We have a game warden that comes in that monitors the pond. He uses our road. I mean, that's the only access they have to get down there would be our road.
Right, but, so unfortunately though,
Right.
you have to go by legal terms, right? I mean, it is legally
A private.
a private road.
I
right?
guess-
And that's, I mean, that, you know, that's the
Right.
thing, that's what the state or the courts or whatever will judge this on, so.
Absolutely.
I'm
And
not,
I think
I'm not
it's,
comfortable doing something that is not
that's right.
allowed by.
And I understand. I think the thing that got us was this phrase here of the Kingsbury Pond Camp Association is included in the approved 19.42 acres. That's us.
It does say that.
That is us. So it's like,
just that
where did that
you're in
come from?
you're in the footprint, you're in the border,
Right.
instead of not being in the border.
It's kind of a gray
Well,
area.
that's why.
Right.
No, it's not, the gray area, because it's further on, it goes on and explains that monies cannot be used for private.
Then why would the camp association private roads approve for it? To start with, just.
If you're going to develop it,
So,
Okay, so
We would be able to have this TIF money
Well-
if we were.
if we
but only for the
develop,
development.
so let me just touch on a couple of things here before we get into the TIF weeds. Technically, the way it's worded is the 19.42 acres of camp association private roads are approved. That's got to be referring to something else, because if you just look at it, it just says camp association private roads. There's more than just your camp association private roads in the UT. So there's got to be a map somewhere or something in the TIF that specifies those roads.
It does.
Right.
So secondly, there's a difference between being included in the footprint of the TIF district,
Right.
because the TIF district really is the land on both sides of the windmill, the tract of land.
Right.
So the TIF district is not Moxie Gore. The TIF district isn't, Tom Hegan. The TIF district is where those physical pieces of windmills actually are. And so this amendment, which took 9 years to approve, actually just kind of takes and includes those 19 acres in that TIF district. Similar in Madison, the TIF district's at Backyard Farms, but Madison included certain parcels of land around town to be included in the district. What that means is, if a business wanted to come in and develop a building within this 19 acres, then TIF dollars could be eligible for the commercial development of that building. But what we're talking about right now is not a commercial development, it is the plowing and the maintenance of those roads used by the private landowners.
With respect to the argument that the public has access to the roads, the law court says, the opinion I'm talking about, the public's access to privately owned roads, in quotes, as desired by LD 383, which was the proposed legislation they were opining on, is both uncertain and potentially transitory. By the definition of the proposed section, the public has no legal right of travel over any privately owned road on which the bill would authorize the expenditure of public funds. Any possible consent by the private owners to the public's use of the road would at most arise only by inference from the absence at the time of expenditure of any barrier or sign having the effect of discouraging public travel. And it goes on like this. So it doesn't help to say the public has a right to come down our road. I actually went up there a couple of weeks ago and I went down the Otter Pond Road, and the first thing I saw was a big stop sign that basically said, we've got cameras here and you should turn around and leave. So it's not exactly, there's no public boat landing down there, public access. I'm sure if you had a stream of cars sort of traveling through there, just looking at places, that you would be upset. It's not really a public road in the general sense of things.
So if I could just kind of narrow Commissioner Stekas's point, if I'm looking for a legal opinion, I don't think I need to ask about TIF dollars. I need to ask about community benefit dollars.
Yes, absolutely.
Because the TIF is clear, black and white. But if we want to get a legal opinion, you have to look at Title 33, as Commissioner Alsop referred to, and have a legal opinion on that document, say, can these be used on private roads? Or to fund activities on private roads?
And can a TIF be amended?
Has to be approved by this body and by the State Department of
Right.
Economic Development.
Right.
So, but if you're talking about amending it to say you can use the money on the private roads, they're not going to do that because they've already said you can't.
Yeah,
And it's.
Usually
That's statewide.
usually when you amend a TIF, you're expanding either the footprint or you're expanding the type of activities you want to spend the TIF dollars on within what's already approved by the state. Because the state has a whole section of
Right.
what you can
What
and
you
can't
can and
use.
can't do.
Your remedy is actually to improve the road to state specifications and then turn it over to the county. The county would have to accept it.
So, but our roads are pretty much up to spec. And if you come up with
They need to be
them,
completely up to specs to be able to
Yeah.
accept it.
And they can't. They're not wide enough.
Yeah.
You're right.
how wide would they have to be?
You have to have setbacks from your traveled way, and
There's certain specs. It's
There's
got-
there's a reason
It's-
most
it's-
private roads don't.
That's right.
I
Most
mean,
private roads don't, they don't.
Yeah.
Turned over.
Right.
right. Yeah, I think we're just discouraged on what we were told when they were coming in, and now they're there, and now we're here. Like, you know,
You'd have to be
really.
eight rods.
And I'm of the mind, so, we've been, in the last year and a half, we have been working on the community, updating the community benefit situation and how those funds are distributed, and there's applications, and I would absolutely love to find some way that you can access some of that money, and, you may have to be creative, but I would look into that. I mean, I was in the middle of this fight as well. You were directly impacted,
Yeah, we
and
were.
as far as I'm concerned,
Hugely
those funds
impacted.
were supposed to be there to help you
I
as well, not the people that are
Yeah.
25 miles away that wanted a new fire truck.
Right.
We're just asking for a little bit.
to plow the roads?
What?
So this money is
Here's the money
good.
guy that's usually like this, right?
But let's just, a couple of things we shouldn't lose sight of here. One is that this money runs out in, 10 years or so? And there's no way, under, again, the same case law, that taxpayer money is could ever be used for this. And you've already received $112,924.77, which is more than a poke in the eye with a short
Actually,
stick.
our camp road did not receive that. We've received 72,304.
Well,
So we have that together.
I assume this document I'm looking at is all the money we have spent for the maintenance of all of those roads. I'm looking at Dave here. Is this all the money we've spent for
Yes.
the roads since the beginning of the program?
Is that
Yes.
just for our camp?
Yeah, it's broken down between the two associations.
Right.
Combined, the county has spent 112 plus. Their association has received 72 plus.
304.
And the other association has received 40.
40.
Right. And there are a lot smaller roads, I believe.
Yes, much smaller.
Right, so we haven't even, we haven't really got a lot for what we've got.
And
That's mostly reflected in the.
Well, first of all, it's gonna go away.
Right.
We all acknowledge that. We can't do this beyond 10 years, or whenever it
10
runs.
years would be nice to keep it for 10 years.
Well, at an earlier time, before I found this case, I was saying if we're gonna do this if we're gonna fix up private roads in the unorganized territory, we ought to do it to every road in the unorganized territory, but.
You're just gonna have to develop a commercial plowing outfit.
That's my question. I got a question. I own a business. Can I put my business up there? And
I don't know, that'd be up to the state. You'd have to go through work for that.
Yep.
I would have to go through there for that?
Yeah, we have no say.
I would recommend looking into what we have on the table for community benefit now, take it back with you and see if there's something that you can come up with that.
That would fit. And where would we get that information on this community?
I can.
Okay.
Perfect.
That's really what he's saying. This is code.
Okay. I was trying to see where his eyes were going. Okay, got it. I have it.
The goalpost to do.
He is the guy that gets stuck on around.
So you're saying as of this year, no more money will be spent to these two places?
Yeah, we're constrained by law.
And they could get away with it for these many years prior?
Or we can send you a bill.
I was gonna say, you gotta be careful about saying getting away with it. These people.
We're not asking for the money back.
Right.
Right.
Even I agree with that.
We don't have enough money in our bank account to cover that.
You'd have to come get our gravel and our.
Yeah.
It's tempting, gravel's expensive now.
But please check into that community.
I will. Yeah, we will do that. We will
And
do that.
we'll look at our end as well.
That would be greatly appreciated, because we are very much impacted.
I
I mean,
understand.
I would come up anytime and you can hear the windmills from my driveway. And if you get out on the lake, on certain days, it's even worse.
Yeah.
We do have to deal with the blinking lights and,
And
I actually did go down a bit. And I drove right up on Cook Hill, I drove up to a wind tower that was going around, and I listened really carefully. And I heard a hum. I did not
Is
see
that all
piles
the
of
time?
dead birds. I also know that all the camps that in your association face out on the lake away from the wind towers, so they're not in your line of view.
but when you get out on the lake, you see them.
You get out of the lake and you see them on the lake, and so does everybody else that gets out on the lake. And if you get out on the lake at night, which most people don't do, you see them.
Actually, I do a lot.
We
We kayak a lot at night.
But we see but
Absolutely.
everybody in the county has to look at those red flashing lights. And I don't know why they have them, because it seems to be the likelihood of an airplane, it's probably some FAA regulations.
But most
It's
everybody's
a
getting
height requirement of FAA.
And I think the other thing that, we see what Kingsbury Pond is getting from these windmills.
$176,000.
And they get that
That's the town,
right.
the plantation of Kingsbury.
Right, but they don't have no police, I mean, they don't have a whole lot of services.
But they even
But
left
keep-
the school district.
But what do they get the money for?
But keep in mind, they can get that money, but they can't spend it on private roads. So just because they get the money, same as the county, just because the county gets the money, there's certain things by law you can't spend that money on. Can't build a school with it, can't build a playground, you can't fix up private roads. So that's, just because other towns get TIFs, and there's hundreds of them throughout the state that have TIFs, they have to be spent for public services, recreational services, that sort of thing. So they can't spend it on private roads.
Are there ATV trails that actually travel on those roads?
On the windmill roads?
Is it that, no, on your roads?
We have to.
Well, no, because we are a dead end.
Right,
We're a
we
dead
have to use our own road to go up.
So-
to the-
I haven't been on those roads in 6 or 8 years. So.
Yeah,
We have to access them to get to where we need to
to
go.
where we need to go. Things have changed, obviously, where our trails used to be, they're no longer there. So
But all the wind power roads are accessible to ATV.
They weren't until this year. They had closed them for snowmobiling, UTVing, everything. So, I mean, things have changed, obviously, but. And the sad part is in our association, we were taking our dues that we pay, which is very minimal, and we would give it to Kingsbury for the dam.
For the dam. And we were getting nothing out of it.
Well, you get water in the lake.
Right.
Yeah. But
Right.
I think,
But they were getting.
But I'm pretty sure they can use the money that they're getting from these windmills to fix that dam.
Yes.
Yes.
so we said,
We were paying to have it fixed.
Sounds like some negotiations to be had.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Right. Well, we appreciate your.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate hearing your
Thank you.
concerns.
Please check into that.
We sure will, for Tim.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll get in touch with you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak at this time? Seeing none? New agenda items, commissioners only?
When we get those heat pumps, Tim,
Heat pumps. That's a whole nother project.
hot in here.
It is uncomfortable. One of the problems with buildings built in the 1870s is it's not getting the heat pumps, it's getting them installed through 5 layers of brick.
I get drills for that. Finance reporting.
You're up.
Patrick, finance reporting.
You can come sit over here, Patrick.
So,
Are you saying we should? Next week, we're going to start the FY 2024 audit to get the kickoff. So I'm already started to pull the documentation associated with that. I'll probably be dealing with that for the next month and a half, providing that information. The numbers that I've given you in your packet, I don't see any changes in those FY 2024 unless the auditors find something they feel needs to be changed. So the FY 2024 numbers should be pretty firm at this point in time. FY 2026, we only have 2 months underneath our belt, so it's really hard to see any trends, but looking at the monthly report, every department is still in the black, which is a good thing.
So I have a question, on the audits, is that a county-wide audit, and that is inclusive of the jail? So the state and MDOC, and part of the funding formula is telling me that I need a separate jail audit.
You do, you have one.
Yeah, but it's within the same audit.
Okay.
The general fund.
So we can extrapolate that?
It's in one report, but
Okay.
it has a breakdown.
Yeah, you do need a separate jail.
also on the jail, I'm just looking at your notes here. It looks like we're doing real well with boarding prisoners.
So we did have a dip. We've taken in some additional Penobscot. We've taken in some Androscoggin. Androscoggin is close to borderline violation of being over in the housing of the inmates, so we're taking some of their inmates. We had a dip in feds, and we're starting to get an increase in feds again.
Right, what you're looking at is FY 2024. If you look at FY 2025, right now, we're actually running slightly below budget when it comes to
Revenue.
Yeah, we're budgeted for 35, we have 28 in-house right now.
But the issue about, they didn't want to send them here because they'd have to pay money for the supplicate, is that?
Well, yeah, so I had a meeting this week with a U.S. Marshal. There's some discrepancy on what the federal Department of Corrections is doing on what they allow and what the marshals allow. They're gonna try to get on the same page. And we're also we're well into the process of a contract with the feds. So I'm predicting that our boarding rate's going to go up. But right now, we only have 28 feds. We have to get a definitive answer from the feds on Sublocade. But right now, we have 28, and we're budgeted for 35.
Okay.
Patrick?
all set, unless you have any questions.
No, I think Derek handled that, thank you. Dave?
Things in UT are fairly normal. The news from the FEMA group was a little negative. I started with one agent, and he had a heart attack, and they replaced him with another guy, and now they've moved him away to deal with another natural disaster, and I'm now on my third agent with FEMA. So it seems like I've had to redo some of the paperwork from previously, but we're still working towards getting some funds back.
Keep on trucking.
Yep.
Any questions for Dave? All set? Pavel?
So still working on multiple IT projects on VPN tunnels, so that's probably like 30% done, so that's in progress. SIP trunking for comm center, that's coming within probably 2 months. Working on quotes for intercom jail, so that's coming. Same core network upgrades and working on IT policies and procedures, so continue working on multiple projects at the same time.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir?
I was made aware that we had funds from the corridor project to use in the two towns of Starks and Athens. And I wanted to present an idea.
Your name?
Shane Wrightsey.
He's not a department head, but
No.
I believe he's just a member of the public.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That way you wanted to speak on
I have no idea, I'm just answering this thing.
I asked him, because I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anybody.
Okay.
But I'll let you continue, and this is about Athens and Stark?
Correct.
Because that would probably go to the towns.
Those two towns,
So it'd be
yeah.
a municipality
Correct.
question.
Yes. So I was made aware that the corridor supplied $600,000 to improve or create lifestyle improvements in those two towns as a result of the impact of the corridor. I wanted to present to the commissioners the idea that I do water treatment and radon mitigation, and that would be an excellent opportunity for low-income and public buildings to use those funds to improve those, where typically those families would never have that opportunity due to lower incomes in those areas. And I didn't know if that would be an excellent idea for the commissioners to consider and for us to go in and start testing. I don't know what kind of metrics we want to use in terms of determining which families, whether it's a first come, first serve or what have you.
Well, we can't use public monies for private.
So you're talking specifically about Starks and Athens?
Correct, the funds have to be used in those two towns.
Right.
I think it's Anson and Star.
Is it Anson?
Yeah, because the corridor doesn't go near
Right.
Anson.
Okay, Anson.
That makes more
Yeah.
sense. Have you talked to any of the selectmen in Anson or Starks?
I've not talked to either of them. I first wanted to see if the commissioners would be open to that, and then I'd be open to talking to them.
The way that county government is structured in Maine is that unless you're an unorganized territory, the county really doesn't have any say in that. So you can go directly to the towns. I don't think the county would object to it, but I think that really the decision makers are at the town selectmen level.
I'm certainly open to doing that. I just was under the impression the commissioners had to make the
That's not
decision.
in our hands for, it's Starks and Anson. You'd have to go see the selectmen there.
Well, the impact corridor come under us, that's 600,000.
No, that sounds like it's a separate thing. I don't think that's what Christian's been working on.
Because that's, we're only talking about Moxie Blue or nothing.
They're just talking about the, I think, the TIF for.
Any money we get from the corridor, we're gonna have to spend in the UT.
Goes to the
So we don't really have any,
Bailiwick is what it's not.
we're never gonna have any corridor money that we could spend in a municipality. Am I wrong with that?
Do you mind me asking where you heard about the 600,000?
It was brought up in a political meeting from some individuals that were attending.
Oh, okay. Because I hate, one of the things I hate is for, you come to the county and the county says, go to the town says, I don't know what you're talking about. So I've seen it happen. But, so I'm not sure what they would be referring to unless CMP made a specific deal with the town of Anson and the town of Starks. But to my knowledge, I haven't heard that they have. So don't be surprised if you call Anson and they say, we don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
So
Hopefully they do.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you.
Thanks, yep.
Is nobody, Mike, Deputy, would you like to make a report?
No, the only thing I report is graduation tomorrow for 5 corrections officers that work for the jail. They graduate after 5-week course, attending their graduation.
Wonderful. Thank you. Questions? All right. I will
So, Mr. Chair, I have a couple things.
Yeah, what happened?
Let's move on to the administrator's report.
We're skipping it.
Yeah, I know, I always skip them.
I had a wonderful trip to Western Canada, back to work today. Leanne and I have been working with some HR trainings, and we've been pushing out the required trainings done online, and got a good response from the staff. So, they're doing their due diligence. But in that light, the Maine Employment Law Summit, sponsored by Pretty Flaherty, is coming up in October. And I did confirm with Malcolm from the Maine County Commissioners Association that they would pay for 3 people to go. So we plan on taking 3 people down there to go to that. It was very helpful last year, and because laws change constantly, it's a good time spent. Also, I was talking with the administrator of Kennebec County. They recently had an invite to legislators and people that are considering running for the legislature to talk specifically about jail funding, and they got a good response. Now, with Kennebec County, they prefaced it saying, hey, our budget was up 20%, and so that got a lot of legislatures to come. And so I'm wondering if we could pull something together, would you be interested in hosting legislators and potential legislators to help understand the issues surrounding jail funding? Because I think what happens is, unless you're up to your eyeballs in it like the sheriff is every day, you really don't have a grasp, and they're the ones that have to approve that budget. So
I think it'd be an excellent idea.
Okay.
So in that situation, would these folks be the ones that are doing a large amount of the presentation and answer questions and that sort of thing?
I think we could do it in-house. I think between Patrick and the sheriff and myself.
Yeah, we've done that in the past. It might have been 3 legislative sessions ago. We hosted, we had a good response from the local legislators. But just case in point, the MDOC, the legislature gave them a 10.75% increase, and they flat funded the counties for the next 2 years.
This is a shock, please.
I can see your shock.
And the new legislators need to know that.
Yeah.
Just a thought that came in my head about this is that we have a lot of senators and representatives in Somerset County who also represent parts of other counties.
And that's
we
what
combine the situation.
Well, and that's what Scott from Kennebec said. He goes, don't limit it to Somerset.
I think you're going to see Maine sheriffs. Just prior to this meeting, I was at another meeting, surprise. And I think Maine sheriffs are going to be pushing the concept of SSI again. That's state sanctioned in Maine. To have a paradigm shift on how the state looks at funding county jails.
We need to do that.
So that's all I had to report, and if you're interested, I'll see what
I'm
we'll put
interested.
together.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's good.
Yeah. You can talk to Scott, see how he did it, kind of model it.
He said it went really well.
And then we'll all come if we can make it.
Yeah.
All right. So, got all the department heads? Administration report, and unfinished business, none, new business. Resolution 24-171 to approve clarification of unusual purchases in the Somerset County procurement policy.
So moved.
Second. Discussion.
I just wanted to share with the board that I put this out basically as a follow-up to the conversation that 3 of the commissioners had with the sheriff at the last meeting, and so for Commissioner Seekins and Stetkus, I know by email there was some maybe need for clarification here. What makes a purchase unusual that doesn't go through the standard RFP process? And one of the things that all the commissioners discussed was, or that we discussed with the sheriff was, many counties are running into the same problem getting vehicles, and many counties have had to be flexible and maybe loosen up policies a little bit. So that's why I simply added this language that says complications to the competitive bidding process may include market issues that delay the receipt of ordered items or the unexpected availability of a product that meets an immediate county need. And I've seen that over the last couple of years where, you know, if a vehicle all of a sudden becomes available that perhaps wasn't ordered but meets a particular need, then the jail, the sheriff's office, even the UT needs to be able to be flexible to be able to get that vehicle. So that's the reason I added it, so that the commissioners can kind of discuss it further if needed, or put their stamp on those changes to the policy.
Shocking. I know that we, nobody has any. I've ordered some Taurus, Tahoes. Have any of those arrived?
No, so out of the FY '24 budget, we ordered 7 Tahoes. One we have that actually made a patrol. One is at heights that they can't sell. 2 in Boston that we can't go get, and 3 that they haven't even started building yet, and that doesn't even begin the FY, not even close to the FY '25 budget allotment.
If we shift, is the Blazer police package suitable?
So we did the Ford Explorer, and we ran into, especially after this last rainstorm, we had cruisers that didn't have enough clearance, they couldn't make it up some of the roads, and that's what got us to go back to the Tahoe platform. So you need a truck Tahoe type platform to traverse the roads, a lot of the roads in Somerset County.
And what about the Dodge Ram police package?
Yeah, so I haven't asked about that. Again, the problem with that is that, so if we move from one, it ends up costing around $8,500 to strip out and rebuild these cars. Dodge's configuration, internal configuration, is different than a General Motors configuration, and so what I like to do is take the equipment out of a car that we're stripping out and putting it into that same car.
Right.
It ultimately saves us money. If we move to another, and not that we can't, but if we move to another platform, you have to purchase all that interior equipment that's unique to that brand.
Although that's all true, if you can't get something, then you've got nothing, and if you can get...
No, I hear what you're saying.
Just saying that if you really need to have a patrol vehicle, they would really need to think about...
Yeah, right now, I'm telling you, I'm looking at, depending on what comes available, mixing the platforms up a little bit, because our service costs are increasing. We've got 2 spares that are pushing 180,000 miles. They get tired.
Just a quick question, and it's really unrelated to that, but who's eligible? I mean, how many of those cruisers in Boston do you need here?
Well, they tell me that there's 2. I went to the dealership, said, look, I will go get those cars, and they were told they can't even go get the cars. It has to be delivered by GM.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because we've in the past one.
No, I would go down there personally and go get those cars.
Yeah, I think that we would all agree with you on that. We'd all have.
Yeah, so, but GM won't allow that to happen.
They even told the dealer, we have to deliver the vehicle.
We got 4 vehicles right now in transit, two trucks and two Tahoes, and they've been in transit for a long time, but they're manufactured, we have VIN numbers for them.
Oh, you finally got the VIN numbers, okay. I heard that there were some that you didn't have VIN numbers.
Yeah, there are some we don't have VIN numbers for.
Okay.
And we haven't even started the process for the FY '25.
All right.
Should be a lot of electrics available if you're interested.
They have their uses. The Blazer's coming out with an electric patrol package.
I read an article in law enforcement is moving toward electric vehicles.
So here's the deal. It might, I'm not a fan, but having said that, if you were in a municipality, maybe it might
Just
be.
go around town, yeah.
You've got 4,000 square miles. These guys are putting, 600 miles on, and I think these charges last 3. So you're gonna have someone stranded someone for a day until, unless you want me to buy a truck with a portable generator that could go around and charge them up as they need it.
Another problem.
Put solar panels in the back.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not against electric vehicles but you have, I don't believe that technology is there, and especially for our application.
Well, for our application, we're not ready for prime time yet.
Very well.
Around town, it's scrolling to me.
I don't disagree.
And they're good for catching people because they have a lot of acceleration.
And they can sneak up on it.
Almost there. Almost there.
All right, so
Let's shift to the thing at hand and we'll discuss a little bit about the unusual purpose.
we have unusual purpose. We haven't voted. Do we have
You
any
know, I had a couple of questions.
do we have any further discussion? Do we have any further discussion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just a quick question, because you know I had reservations about this, and I want to make sure this doesn't impact or interfere with or allow us, or whoever it is, to manipulate the bidding process in order to make it easier to get unusual purchases. So that's where I'm still.
Here's my thought. If Aroostook and Kennebec and Androscoggin were having no problem getting vehicles, then I would say, yeah, we should be careful we don't make this too loose. But every one of them have had to amend their procurement policies because of the situation that.
Cumberland County,
Yeah.
the largest, must have the largest dealerships. They won't even take the county's RFP anymore because they're going, we can't get you the vehicles.
Wow.
I just had an email come through the listserv the other day from another town, and the person was saying to the other town managers, we're not getting any bids when we put out RFPs. Do you have to go solicit people? I said, yeah, I think you have to start go soliciting for bids. So
I mean, obviously, you guys know what you need for vehicles, and I think loosening up the bidding process by changing this the way we do will make it helpful for you guys to procure these vehicles that we can't get anyway?
Well, as I told Commissioner Cesar, I think we can, if in fact this comes to fruition, we can cast a larger net, right? So I'm at the point where, because of my maintenance costs, I am, as you well know, I am very passionate about buying from the county businesses in the county. But you have to balance that with your needs. So I'm almost to the point where if I gotta go out of state to get this vehicle, I'm gonna go get it, because that's how we're in desperate need.
And you might find a vehicle sitting somewhere in Ashtabula, Ohio, and you call Tim and say, I'm gonna go get it tomorrow, and we, with this policy, we can kind of.
Yeah, I mean, you still are all responsible for the money. We're not going to do it without letting you know.
And we're being fast and fast on our feet, I guess.
I think we mentioned flexibility and communication. Those are the two big things.
And then don't forget the other thing, when I was down the Heights talking about, we generally get rid of one of the vehicles, we trade it in, and we've been trying to get, have them come up and do a bid on the vehicle for a trade-in, and they said, well, I can offer you $10,000 for this vehicle today, but once I get this vehicle a year later and you put 50,000 miles back on it, it's not worth that $10,000 to me anymore, so I don't want to be held to that $10,000. I don't want to tell you that I'll give you $10,000, I'll give it to you today.
It's not as clean as it used to be, I think it is in our best interest to be a little more flexible. And again, you are all in charge of the money, and again, as the county administrator already articulated, flexibility and communications.
And the thing is that, like we shift to a different vehicle, even though there might be a more build-out, or we shift and find a vehicle out of state that we can bring in quickly. We don't want to let perfect be the enemy of the good.
Right. So, we're going to expand opportunity because you'd be able to, or be willing to go outside of the county for situations.
Very reluctantly, to be honest, but we're at a critical state. I need 14 vehicles.
I move the question.
Second.
Non-debatable.
All in favor?
It's not debatable.
Well, all in favor of moving the question?
It's not debatable.
Oh, it's not, we're about to vote on it.
It's unanimous. Look at that.
Okay, all in favor of the clarification of unusual purposes in the Somerset County procurement policy? Okay. Resolution 24-172 to approve the hiring of Damon Jennings as a full-time correctional officer at the Somerset County Jail.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Let's go. Resolution 24-173 to approve the hiring of Dylan Gray and Brian Turner as part-time correctional officers at the Somerset County Jail.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Thank you. Warrants, Resolution 24-174 to approve the treasurer's warrant for general fund, Somerset County Jail, and unorganized territories for a total amount of $487,585.12.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? And miscellaneous discussion items, commissioners only. Joel's already spoken, because he wanted to see his mini splits.
No, I'm not gonna do it in a workshop, I guess, you guys can discuss it
Oh, okay, so I'll be on, what do you want to have in a workshop?
next meeting,
What's the topic?
department heads.
Oh, okay, yes, very good. And now we will recess to execute documents.
Just so you know, we started 3 people in the academy on Monday.
Oh, good, wonderful.
So, I'll be short for 18 weeks.
19 weeks?
18 weeks. We graduate December.
Mr. Commissioner Elson.
I just think it's an opportunity to be able to offer these low-income families. They're never gonna get them.
We've got that over there. There you go. Yeah.
This person, this person, this person, this person, this person.
Oh, that's right.
Need a stamp.
I never see so much.
Do we have any impact?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I travel, I mean, I travel all the way, like in the Booth Bay, I fall in Granville, and travel all the way to the Harrison.
The way these. Wants to do their job here.
John?
Thank God Mike Welch.
That one.
I signed this one.
Well, you know, we were talking about that, we said, we gotta do some of that. You go up and down. Some of those personal issues. You got emails there, oh my God. Set the email in the office, and you get every day. Mad at us. Maybe I'll email you some information on stuff.
Yeah, I'd be happy, I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs, I'm a terrible bureaucrat, but because I'm just like, I'm gonna get it done, you know? So, I'm open to doing or jumping through whatever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump through to do it. I just understood there's an opportunity there, and as a business owner, I'm gonna capitalize on any opportunity that come across. Because I'm a capitalist, and, so I thought this would be a very unique and awesome opportunity for us to, with some good faith with the county, saying, hey, we're gonna help this, for the people, but then.
Like, I love it.
Did you sign anything before you left? Did you actually, you haven't signed everything?
Hey, that's what I do. Hey, I see you for little pals out there.
Oh, yeah, holy, that's nice rose bags.
I mowed mine yesterday, you know, we've been between that 4 days,
Some of the
maybe.
stress part of the job.
I raked her all last
Some of those
house, you know.
personnel related issues, I don't want to
I got some Bingham boys to come over to
questions around.
We do some shooting. You hear some noises on Saturday, just out there shooting.
We hear something, I got 3 babies out here right now.
Triplets, you see that? Yeah, I saw it. I can have those down in the back corner. I said,
One of them was out here walking across, tails of my life. 2 turkeys. I saw the turkeys raise up, it's all loud. He turned around and ran out.
They used a bias on it, I think, buying to the yard.
Last time I had 3 crossbows coming out.
Well, I love my TV, so.
No, they took me to sign up. 20 miles.
Yeah, straight in line. Oh, absolutely. Oh,
there's at least 2.
Great use. Just these vessels? Wow.
That's right.
We got my pay cut. We're gonna get docked for less work. So brochures what? How is that picture? Yeah. Okay, I didn't realize that
To fix that.
It might not be that if you drop, it depends on who's there.